There's a moment, a singular, irreversible moment, when you stumble upon a truth so profound it shakes the very foundation of how you see yourself and the world. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist who explored the darkest corners of the human psyche, once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Let that sink in. What if everything you believe about yourself isn't the whole story? What if your fears, your patterns, your pain aren't just random flaws, but clues, pointing towards something deeper, something hidden? Today, we're diving into a life-altering Jungian insight, one that reveals a truth about human nature so transformative, you'll never see your struggles the same way again. So, grab your curiosity, because by the end of this video, your inner world won't look like it did before. In Jungian psychology, one concept rises like a tidal wave beneath the surface of our consciousness: the shadow. The shadow isn't evil. It's not your enemy. It's the collection of everything within you that you've rejected, denied, or buried. The anger you suppress, the desires you hide, the potential you're too afraid to express. It's all the parts of you that society, family, and even you deemed unacceptable. But here's the twist. Jung believed that true transformation, the kind that changes your life from the inside out, only happens when you face the shadow, and not with fear, but with curiosity, with courage, with compassion. Because the shadow doesn't just hold your darkness, it holds your hidden power. So, what happens when you ignore your shadow? It doesn't disappear. It festers. It seeps into your relationships, your work, your thoughts. You might find yourself snapping in anger at the smallest provocation, or sabotaging opportunities you secretly want, because a hidden part of you believes you're not worthy. You might constantly judge others, never realizing those judgments are reflections of something unresolved within. You may feel stuck, anxious, or fake, like you're wearing a mask even when you're alone. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Let that sink in. If you don't confront what's inside, your life will be governed by shadows you don't even see. But when you finally see them, everything begins to shift. Here's the twist Jung boldly put forth. Your shadow is not just a container for shame, guilt, or fear. It's also where your greatest strength, creativity, and authenticity are hidden. What you repress often holds the key to your liberation. The anger you've buried, it might be the fuel for courage and setting boundaries. The envy you suppress, it could be revealing your deepest desires and untapped ambitions. The fear you deny, it may point directly to the life you're meant to live. Jung believed that the shadow, once integrated, becomes a source of personal power. You don't eliminate it. You learn to dance with it. It's like facing a wild beast, only to realize it's been guarding a treasure all along. And that treasure is the real you, undiluted, raw, and fully alive. But to claim it, you must walk into the darkness with eyes open. Facing the shadow isn't a one-time breakthrough. It's an ongoing confrontation. It shows up in quiet moments and in emotional outbursts, in your judgments of others, in the stories you tell yourself to avoid pain. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That's the truth most people never hear. They blame bad luck, other people, or the world, never realizing it's their unconscious self pulling the strings. But here's the beautiful part. The moment you choose to face your shadow, you're no longer its puppet. You become the observer, the alchemist, the creator. It starts when you pause and ask, why did I react that way? What am I afraid to admit here? What part of myself am I rejecting? That awareness is where transformation begins, not in suppressing, not in running, but in witnessing with compassion. Because when you understand that your shadow isn't your enemy, it becomes your most powerful ally. The shadow doesn't need to be destroyed. It needs to be integrated. You're not here to become perfect. You're here to become whole. That means accepting that within you exists both light and dark, courage and fear, love and rage. It's not about choosing one over the other. It's about balancing them. Carl Jung believed that true individuation, the path to your highest self, only happens when you consciously unite with your unconscious. Imagine this. Instead of running from your flaws, you own them. Instead of hiding your shame, you explore it. Instead of denying your fears, you face them and listen to what they're trying to say. This is not weakness. It's the bravest act of all. Because when you integrate your shadow, you no longer live a fragmented life. You no longer wear masks to be accepted. You no longer fear being found out. You begin to live with authentic power, grounded, clear, resilient, not controlled by the past, not swayed by others, but anchored in truth. Once you face your shadow and begin the integration process, something unexpected happens. You start to feel reborn. It's not flashy, it's not loud, but it's real. You start to speak with more confidence, not because you've become someone new, but because you've finally accepted who you are. You stop chasing external validation because you no longer feel like an imposter in your own skin. You begin to recognize your inner voice again, the one you silenced for years to fit in. This is the moment Jung called individuation, when the self becomes whole, when you stop living a borrowed identity and start living from your core. The world won't always celebrate this transformation. Some people may feel threatened by your newfound clarity, but that's not your burden to carry. You're no longer here to shrink to make others comfortable. You're here to expand. And expansion starts with the courage to face what you once feared. After the storm has passed, what's left is not just peace, but presence. You begin to move through life with an awareness that most never reach. You catch yourself in moments of projection and pause. You feel triggers rise, not as enemies, but as teachers. Each discomfort becomes an invitation to ask, where is this coming from within me? You no longer fear the darkness, because you've walked through it and made peace with what you found there. Carl Jung once said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. But you chose to look inward, to listen, to learn, to evolve. Now your life becomes a living testament to what's possible when we stop running from ourselves. Not perfect, not always graceful, but deeply authentic. And that authenticity is rare. It's magnetic. It's healing. And it's the only thing that was ever real to begin with. You're no longer who you were. Not because you added something, but because you reclaimed what you had hidden. Your presence shifts rooms. Your words carry weight. And your silence, it speaks volumes. People may not know why, but they feel it. That you've faced something they haven't yet dared to. And in that, you become a mirror for others. Not by preaching, but by simply being. The truth is, this journey doesn't really end. Shadow work isn't a box you check off. It's a lifelong relationship. A dance between your light and your dark. But the difference now? You no longer resist the rhythm. You trust it. And as you continue walking this path, with your shadow beside you and your truth within you, you realize something powerful. You were never broken. You were just buried beneath layers of fear, shame, and silence. And now you rise. Not as a perfect version of yourself, but as a whole one. Before we dive deeper, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt a part of yourself that you just couldn't understand? It might be time to face your shadow. And trust me, you won't be the same once you do. So, as we explore these truths, I want you to think about this. What's hidden in your shadow, waiting to be brought to the light? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want more insights like these, and join me on this journey of self-discovery.